Welcome home! It's Irish Family History with curious news and notes, celebrating our 6th year of this podcast at the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. One of 6 broadcast series from the head school at irishroots.com. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, publisher of rare Irish books and information on every county in Ireland since 1978. Be sure to read our blog, complete with links to click on from this podcast, and search our master index and books for free. Molly, wet the tea, Katie, bar the door, Sweeney, clear that floor, and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Oh, yes, it is. Podcast number 196 for the Irish Family History Show. That includes genealogy, of course. We've got a lot of things going on. I'm going to break with format once again today, just like I did last week. We have so many going on. We're going to be talking today about the Irish Festival, the Dublin Irish Festival, and how good that's been to us over the years, and some of the events that took place or happened to us during that time in the last week or so. And then we're also going to talk about a very interesting name change. I got an interview at the festival. We're going to talk about the surnames of Costello and Abraham, I think. You know, it's been 2 weeks, and I can't remember if I've got it right. And we're also going to have the Magnificent 7 patrons and new members up here, and we've got them looking for some names. And, it's going to be a full show here today. We've just got a few new things to talk about. Okay, boy, this is our normal notes from Mike segment. I don't know what to tell you specifically today. I'm going to be working on that next podcast real quick. But as I was in and up there, I say we've also got some people looking for family names. We'll be talking about that. And we'll also talk about the Cormick family name. That's really the family name of the week or of the month, maybe. That's Cormick. We'll have more about that later. Talk a little bit about the history of the name. And boy, I'm telling you, that Dublin Irish Festival is really something special. We've been going there for, I think it's 13 years now altogether. That's what Molly said. And they really treat you right there. That's one of the best festivals in the United States. And I'm telling you, it's one of the best big festivals there ever was, because the people there really do things right. They really make an effort, and they're usually right on in what they're doing. So I'd like to say a big thank you to them for inviting us back each year, and for taking such good care of us. And it's sort of like a family there, you know. We're in the cultural side of things. We're sort of like consultants and advisors on genealogy and family history, and we exhibit all the books that I've done. I think I've got 60 or so books, and we exhibit. I try to take at least one of every Irish county book, so somebody can take a look at that if they want to. And I tell you, it's been a great experience over the past 13 years, and we hope there's more to come. And next year is their 25th anniversary. Also, that's going to be good. I don't want to miss that at all. Okay, here's our interview at the festival about that name change. And if you think you got problems or you can't figure out why you got problems, just take a listen to this. I think you'll have a second thought or two. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. We're at the Dublin Irish Festival, and you know, every once in a while I come across somebody with a real interesting story that helps me, and it might help a lot of you other folks out there. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. She's also with the marketplace here at the Ohio Festival in Dublin. She might mention a little bit about that too, but tell us who you are, and tell us that story about that name change. That seemed really interesting.
My name is Mickey Toker, and my granddad came here from Ireland when he was a teen. He'd been in the Merchant Marine. He'd also been he joined the Army at one point here in the States. And he was gassed in World War I and was being hospitalized in the early 1900s up in the Adirondacks. And my future grandmother at that time was delivering eggs. She was a Russian Orthodox Jew. He was an Irish Catholic. She wouldn't marry him unless he changed his name and his religion. So he went from George Costello to Isaac Abraham in the early 1900s.
Boy, I tell you, that's one for the record books. I wanted to record that. Now, what do you do down here at the festival? Do you watch over folks? What's your function, and how long have you been doing it?
This is our second year here. I'm with a group called Shamrock Chic. It is a embroidery line of clothing that's been designed and developed and made by Marjorie Carreau from Niskayuna, New York. And we met at a different festival, so I just come on board as crew for her.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Rochester, New York, and she's from Niskayuna, just outside of Albany.
Okay, great. Any parting words for my audience? This podcast goes out all over the world.
No, I really don't have any.
Okay, great. We appreciate what you have to say. See, the most important people don't know how important they really are. Thanks a lot. This is Mike coming to you from the Irish Roots Cafe at the Dublin, Ohio Festival. Hey, that's just one small example of what you might find there at the festival. And before I talk about more of the family names that were being researched and some of the specifics, we got to go back to our magnificent 7 supporters here. Okay, this is it. We've got time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Thank you for Linda Knowlton of Long Beach, California. Your county Roscommon, Ireland, and genealogy book has shipped. And number 2, Luke Mullins of Mosinee, Wisconsin. Welcome as a new member. Number 3, Rick McCarthy of Sydney, British Columbia, Canada. Your families of County Cork has shipped. And number 4, David Creemans of Irwin, Pennsylvania. Your families of County Cork has shipped. Number 5, Michael Ranspot of Kew, United Kingdom. Your Kings and Queens County book has shipped, plus your birth index and spelling books and County Kildare book has shipped. That makes you the patron of the week for sure. Number 6, Jean Bruno of Eads, Tennessee. Welcome as a new member. And she says she's researching Talbot, Tumpain in County Tipperary, and Carrigan, and Flynn in County Leitrim. And number 7, Kathy Allen of Port Charlotte, Florida. Welcome as a new member. Catherine Harrington, around 1845 is who she says she's looking for. And Patrick U. Sullivan, around 1842. Says they were both great-grandparents born in Ireland, and they came to the U.S. before 1870. They lived in Fall River, Massachusetts on Snell Street when my grandmother was a little girl, she says. Her name was Catherine May Sullivan, born 1876. They had 3 other children that I know of, James, Margaret, and Julia. So that's the magnificent 7 for the day. I'd like to remind you to check out our online search list at irishroots.com. And it's time to say thank you to each and every member, each and every patron, each and every supporter who's bought a book. Check out our pages and the new pages I've got on the Hedge School. I'm trying to develop that, and there's a lot out there to learn. Oh, and don't forget our CDs, our Irish Genealogy CD. It's really, I tried to put in there a combination of everything I've learned over the past, has it been 30 years? Let's see, 78, 88, 98, 2000. It's been like 32, 33 years, and I tried to put it all in there and give you some helps. It's not a giant database. It sort of tells you how to go about doing things and some tips and tricks over the years that I've learned or found out, so don't forget that either. Now we're going to come up to our next little session here. I think we're going to make it the family name of the day. Okay, the family name of the day is going to be Cormack, or Cormick, as our member put it, C-O-R-M-I-C-K. And you probably can already think of a few variant spellings for that name. And it can be Mick Cormick, it can be Mick Cormack, it can be Mac Cormick or Mac Cormack. It can even be O Cormick, and it can even come from Cormickan, C-O-R-M-I-C-A-N. Of course, McCormack, yeah, it usually has a CK on the end. So you got to do some research, but that sort of tells you that you have a couple of different stems you might come from. And it comes from variant spelling groups number 335, 1274, and 2161. And those are from the Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. Got a link to that book on the blog. Wrote that just a few years ago. Now, if we take a look at the possible history of the name, it can originally come from O'Cormack, Mac Cormack, or it might have Scottish origins when found in Ulster as well. That's in Northern Ireland. And the 1890 birth index shows McCormick as the preferred spelling in Ulster in the counties of Antrim and Down, and McCormack is favored in Dublin, Mayo, Roscommon, and Limerick. Now, the shortened form of Cormac, which would be the closest to Cormick, is found in Kilkenny and Tipperary, but in much smaller numbers. And, of course, all these names can be confused in the modern times. They can change once, maybe change twice. So that gives you a little background on just what to look for. The name can also come from O'Cormackan or Cormickan origins. And that's it. That's the end of our extract from the Book of Irish Families today. Oh, and before I forget here, Cormackan is given on page 21 of our Irish Book of Arms. And that's a listing that talks about the original Irish Book of Arms back there in the 17th century. Now, there's not an illustration for it there, but it sure is mentioned, so that's something to keep in mind if you're looking for more information on the name. Now, we've also got a listing of several individuals from our other books, and it's listed several times. We'll try to take the exact spelling of Cormic or Ick. Now, number one, we find it in our free master online index at irishroots.com in the 1659 census and in the Families of County Clare, Ireland, in County Mayo Genealogy and Family History Notes, in County Longford Genealogy and History Notes, as well as in Meath and Westmeath, and also in our J. Cormick is given in our Fermanagh and Louth book, and that's J. Cormick. And number 7, we just picked 7 at random here. Our 7th little notice here was from Cormack's Regiment in King James Irish Army List. And King James Irish Army List, King James was the king that the Irish favored and fought with against the other guy, you know. So a lot of people say, oh, King James, my ancestors would never have fought for King James. Well, King James was allied with the native Irish, so to speak, at that time. So don't erase some of these resources that can be found. That's very important. And we have our free index where you can search for your family name no matter what it is. Just remember to leave off the Mac or O before the name when typing it in our little search box at irishroots.com. Now I think we'll get back to talking about the Dublin Irish Festival here in just a few seconds. You know, a lot of things happen at festivals, and people think, well, what's the difference between a Renaissance festival and just a have fun festival and an Irish festival? Well, there's a lot of things that are different. Now, one thing is the entertainment is Irish. I mean, you've got the Irish bands coming in from Ireland. We even had, let me see, who did I bump in here? Oh, there were 2 special ones I was looking for this year. That was Kelly. That's a group out of Kansas City, and I met them either when I was tired and almost passed out in the lunchroom, or just walking out of some of the doors or buildings here. And sometimes I didn't realize I had seen him until 30 minutes later when I started to wake up. But I saw Kelly there, and I also saw, who was it I wanted to see? Oh, yeah, it was Karen Casey. Now, she did, I saw her in the Highland Sessions sometime back, and she did Bula Macree, which was sort of a jazzy approach to an Irish-style macaronic sound. And how did that exactly sound? Well, when she sang that song, it was like sort of like Anglashen ta bula macree, grada macree, Anglashen ta grada macree. Well, it was much better than that. But that's how she started it off, and it really was a fetching song. And then I started listening to more of her work, and she's got quite a voice, and she's got a style all of her own. And then as I was walking out of the festival after hearing her sing a couple of times, there she was loading up onto the van, and there her daughter was, young daughter, saying, "Mama, Mama." And I thought, now what a contrast from singing up on stage in a nice manner like that, and then having to take care of the youngster. And it's nice to see that you can do both, isn't it? And still survive well. So that was my little note on that. What else can I tell you? Well, let's take a listen to some of the names at the genealogy tent that people came up and asked me about that I remember. Dorsey and Milligan and Costello. At least two people, I think there was three, asked about Costello. Walsh and Murphy and Riley. O'Neilan. And O'Neilan was looking at the unicorn on their coat of arms, on the coat of arms poster that I have displayed. And there was an O'Brien they were looking for in Missouri. And, I'll continue it in just a second. Okay, now there was also two McNamara's, a Roach, a McGee, a McCann, a Corbett, a Ramsey, and they were looking for the kilt. And I told them if it was a kilt, it wasn't from the Irish side of things, because kilts were family tartans, let me put it like that. Family tartans were not an Irish thing. That's a Scottish thing, and an honorable thing, I'm sure. But that's not Irish, so I had to say, you got to go back and look on the Scotch side of things. And Hanrahan and Sexton. One fellow showed me his driver's license, and his name was like Michael Sex. And we figure that the best shot is that it had become from Sexton, and the T-O-N was dropped. And he was having a heck of a time explaining to people in Irish groups that he really was Irish, and his family knew it. And so I helped him out there. I gave him a couple of possibilities his name came from. And then there was, we had people saying they were from Cork and Clare and County Cavan. And Missouri Irish people were talking about, and Wexford. Unbelievably, I had four people specifically going for Wexford, and usually I don't have four Wexford people speak out at a thing like that. And there was Nephan, Nephan, and we figured that was Nevin. And they were also tied with the Grimes of Mayo. And Declare, where the family knew they came from France and moved into Ireland. And McGreevy and Garman from Wexford. And Busher. Busher was a fun one. That's a real rare one. You don't see that much. And, hey, there was also at the festival, they have Irish storytellers and Irish workshops, and an exhibit with Brian Baru there working in it and showing some of the things and the lifestyle of the day. You don't find that at these other festivals. No. Ooh, and there was a big evacuation on Sunday, the last day. Well, yes, the sirens went off, and everybody started running for cover, and there was a big plan in place, and everybody either rushed to their cars and evacuated or went into the building there, the recreation center, and the musicians came in, and you would have thought we were on the Titanic, and they jumped into the rooms, and they started playing for everybody, and it was fine, and the children were laying down resting, and a few people were worried, but the music was good, and it carried everyone through. That was really quite a thing. They're very well prepared for things like that in Dublin, and that's something that comes with experience. Ooh, and when I got there, this was the first time I've ever done this, folks. I entered the Shan Nos competition, and that was from the Columbus Fest, which is nearby, and they had that tent, and they had a little competition. Some good people there singing and just looking for a way to express themselves, and I hope they all contact me, and anybody that likes Shan Nos singing, contact me, and we'll get a whole group to go up there next year and make that tent a little bigger, and I'm trying to make it a bigger thing, so do contact me no matter where you are, in the country, out of the country, if you'd like to express yourself with Shan Nos, or Maybe if you don't want to sing it, you just want to listen. That's fine too, because it's the old way and it needs to be appreciated. It needs your support. So Margaret Witt was the judge. I hope she's there next year. Joe Reagan helped set that up for me, let me get in, even though I registered late. And, I got the gold medal out of that. I think we all got gold medals out of that. We're all winners, aren't we? That's the way of things. Hey, well, I also had a few people just panicked. Well, everybody's usually very polite at the show, but every once in a while, somebody will run up and just break into the conversation, grab me by the neck and say, "Where's the bathroom?" And I just point, over there. Because if you've been walking around that festival for a while and you can't find where you're supposed to go, I guess you panic and you need help quick. And I'm glad to oblige. And it's usually just, 3 or 4 minutes away. You just can't see it correctly. But they've got signs up, so that's starting to get better. Everybody knows it. And, hey, what about food? Well, they've got all the festival foods, outdoor foods that you can want. They got the corn and all the special things and all the meat products. But I was looking for grilled salmon, and I found that they had that. And I'm wondering if they can give me a grilled salmon sandwich or a salad just at a whim. Why can't I drive up to a fast food place and get a grilled salmon sandwich instead of a hamburger or something that's full of things that might not do me good? That was just a passing thought, but somebody ought to have a fresh grilled salmon sandwich you can just drive up and get, because as we were walking out of that festival, as tired as we were at the end of a long day of exhibiting, that's what we stopped and got, and it sure hit the spot. And like I say, it's been, I think, 13 years in a row, and this year it was even a great, great drive. All the cones in the road were down this year for some reason for us, so it was like the waters opened. That's all for today, folks. Joseph, warm up those pipes. Remember, we have a broadcast series on Irish song and recitation, on local history of the Irish in America, and on 2,000 years of Irish history, as well as on the counties, and something special coming up on Irish language, I hope. We've got all that and more at our head school at irishroots.com. And we've been known to appear, exhibit, teach, and even sing for your special events. Be sure to book in advance if it's important, and write me at my American address at Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave a message by phone at 816-256-3360. Reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com. Skype me at the Irish Roots Cafe. Get me on MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and Irish Central. Members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.